and welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. Some interesting things to talk about this week. We're going to start with Microsoft 365 or Teams apps and Microsoft 365 apps and what that's all about. Then we've got a whole bunch of Azure Communication Services stuff, and then we're going to end with a little Copilot. So let's get into it. So the first thing is a blog post I put out last week through on the back of some news around the fact that Microsoft are now talking about Microsoft Teams apps as being the groundwork for Microsoft 365 apps, which is something I've talked about definitely on here before for quite a long time. I think that back in 2021, we had Build 2021, and that was the first time Microsoft started talking about Teams apps being available in other places such as Outlook and Office.com. And at the time, I said, like, this is the start of what we think of as Teams applications becoming Microsoft 365 applications. And Microsoft have never really talked about that until now, but there's been a blog post and some two pieces of information. There's a marketing sort of led blog post, and then there's a technical Learn document. I think the Learn document has some good stuff in it. The marketing blog post is good for its screenshots. I also think it might have been generated with AI, but I'm not sure. See what you think. But anyway, I did a blog post based on both of those, kind of tying together the key themes and pieces of information. But yeah, I've always been a big fan of the Teams developer ecosystem. I think that's no secret. But I really believe actually that some of the stuff that's happened recently around Copilot, I talk about this somewhere down here, right? The stuff that's happened with Copilot and how messaging extensions became such a natural fit to bring, for Copilot plugins. They really filled that gap at a time when Microsoft really needed to push the extensibility story for Copilot. I feel like that was really appreciated inside Microsoft and really probably put, the Teams developer ecosystem on a bit of a pedestal. And I think that's made people sit up and take notice. And now we're going into they're like, oh, we've got this cool thing. Let's put it in all the places, So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of how it feels. So the reason for the blog post, though, is that there's stuff for developers to do now. There's nothing massive changing, but the app manifest is getting some new bits in it so that you can start telling Microsoft the capabilities that your app needs of the different surfaces. So this is kind of an abstraction over which application your extension is going to show up in, right? So you say, yeah, I need a dialogue, I need a chat experience, I need a something, rather than saying my app will work in Teams, in Outlook, in PowerPoint or Word or whatever. You've got that kind of abstraction. This is the first stages of this happening. It's not supported really anywhere at the moment, apart from the stuff we already know from 2021 around Outlook and Office.com, but it's the first tentative steps. The other things you can do as well is define dependencies between components in your application. So if you've got several different things going on in your application, and up until now, you've assumed that people are going to use it in something like Teams where all of those things are available. That might not be true if Microsoft starts exposing parts of your application in different places. For instance, if you've got like an Outlook thing, let's say Outlook, that supports messaging extensions and it supports tabs, but it doesn't support bots. Now you can say to Microsoft, well, actually, my messaging extensions and my tabs have a hard dependency on there being a bot present for whatever weird business reason, right? That means that Microsoft has that information and they can choose then not to display your stuff in places where the dependent technology or the dependent extension is not available. So good changes for developers. Not a lot changes. There's a table down here somewhere. Here it is, kind of showing you like what's supported by this stuff, like the support for specifying different runtimes. Really basic at the moment, and like this list should be a lot higher than it is, a lot deeper, more rows, right? Because there's lots more to the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. There's many more potential host applications than just these. But these are the ones Microsoft are looking at. And right now, these are the gaps they're going to be looking to fill in. No surprise, it's going to be Copilot, and then also Office.com as well. So yeah, this is good. It's good. It's interesting. It's something I've been saying for a little while. So it's good to see it coming. Or good to see it finally arrive, I suppose. But yeah, interesting one for Teams developers and something different to think about. Okay, there is no way we're going to get through all the things I want to talk about. So we're going to have to speed up. I'm going to quickly talk about a two-parter. The Azure Communication Services team have put out a really cool 2-series blog post around doing multi-channel notification systems using Azure Communication Services and Azure Functions. So you can have a nice kind of serverless infrastructure there, which is really nice. The first one talks about setting kind of all the bits and pieces up and setting up email. And they're using kind of GPT as a way to kind of complete that loop and like get the answers quickly, which kind of makes sense for like something like this where you're putting together a how-to, but you can kind of see how this would tie into something that you might build for a business. You might put in your own GPT there, or you might have a combination of looking up information from different places, agents, humans in the loop, whatever. But this is the bare bones of how do you do the comms part? How do you have a multi-channel experience in a serverless world with Azure Communication Services? Like I say, part 1 sets everything up and gets through to about email, and then part 2 over here continues that on with things like SMS and WhatsApp as well. So this is a really good read, actually, if you're about to do this, because this is a great kind of, here are all the steps you need to do, here are the things you need to go through, here's what you need to think about, and here is quite a lot of the code that you need to make this work. So if you want to put up a sample for a demonstration of what Azure Communication Services can do, this is a really good one to start with. Because it'll be a really good kind of showcase of how you can do omni-channel with Azure Communication Services in an entirely serverless way as well, completely consumptive, completely scalable. All right, whilst we're talking about Azure Communication Services, they want your feedback. They have an ideas board, an Azure Communication Services ideas board. This is a new thing. There've been a couple of iterations of these. If you're old like me, you'll remember this used to be on, I can't even remember the name of the platform anymore. It used to be a third-party platform that did this, the really famous one that does this kind of like upvoting of ideas. His name completely escapes me. But now it's in-house. It's hosted on, I guess, tech. I don't know. Inside the tech community. There's a community ideas board. You can go vote, put your ideas. What I will say, actually, of all the places and of all the teams that you could give your ideas to, I have always found the Azure Communication Services team super responsive and super listening and in listening mode. So if you've got good ideas for where you think Azure Communication Services should be taken, or you've got particular frustrations with it today, do go and put those things on that board, because those people do listen and they do respond and they do want to understand. They can't always, not every conversation ends with, okay, fine, I'll do your thing, it'll be there next week. Like, that's unrealistic. But it does feel like they are gathering the business case information that they need to make their pitches to get stuff over the line. And so that's a good thing, I think. Finally, let's talk about Copilot. And there are new Copilot agents. So back on the back of the announcements that we've spoke about quite a lot in the last couple of weeks around Copilot agents and how they're generally available, Microsoft are seeding the pool, I suppose, by launching a whole bunch of their own agents and putting them everywhere. This is going to be the proliferation of the agents. This is going to be the story for Ignite to build probably into next year. Agents everywhere, agents as far as the eye can see. And so Microsoft are out the gate with a ton of their own that they've spent time building, and I'm sure they're very proud of. There's things like Visual Creator, there's Career Coach, there's Idea Coach, there's Learning Coach. Again, these are, what are they? They're kind of like manifestations around a model with very specific prompting and some kind of ideas for where to start it. Did I say prompt coach already? Did I say writing coach? No. So there's a whole bunch of these different coaches. You'll see them show up in your Copilot experience on the right-hand side, probably with other agents that you have. But it looks kind of like these are going to be seeded and there whether you want them or not. I don't know if you can remove them. Don't know if you have to go and get them or whether they're just all here because of this screenshot. I'm not quite sure yet. I think they are coming rather than arrived. Not quite sure. They are releasing. So you might not see them in your tenant just yet, but they are coming. So yeah, that's that to look forward to. All right, I'm going to go because we're going to run out of time. Have a great one, whatever it is you're doing, and I'll speak to you again next time.